get you first off here, your take on this anti-Trump Republican plan.
Well, the Republican Party is obviously threatened by Trump being his own boss, so they're orchestrating. They like to control people, so they'll do whatever they can. You know, they practiced this little trick, 4 years ago, and I wasn't nearly the threat that Trump was, and yet they changed the rules. They wouldn't even allow us to have a token amount of delegates be seated. So, yes, they're terrified of competition, and they're in a box right now because if they do exclude Trump, they're in big trouble. But if they put him in, they're in big trouble. So it is a mess, but this is a consequence of problems that we face in this country that don't have easy solutions, and so far nobody has proposed any solutions to the mess this country's in.
Well, what about the probability of a contested convention? Do you expect that to take place?
Yeah, I think the odds are in favor of that, but it's hard to say. I think the Republicans will do everything possible in these last primaries to try to prevent Trump from capitalizing on this, and then they'll go to the convention. But there's already threats out there. I mean, Trump's not going to go away easily. So, I guess I missed it. I guess I'll go back to building buildings or something. That's not going to happen. I mean, he likes trouble, and he doesn't mind threatening people. So it's a mess. But the biggest mess is for the Republican Party, and I guess if you're in this business to preserve the Republican Party, you should be worried. But some people worry, like myself, we worry about other things like what's going to happen to the country, what's going to happen to our policy, what's going to happen to our economy. Are we ever going to change our foreign policy, or are we just going to blunder into more and more mistakes and more destruction of our personal liberties here at home?
But I mean, when you look at what's going on in terms of the establishment and this pushback, do you think that this is also looking like it's smacking voters in the face? I mean, if 35% of Republicans are voting for Donald Trump, but you got the smartest guys in the room saying, well, this shouldn't be the candidate, does it look like you're just going against the will of the people?
In many ways, of course, 65% of the Republicans, if only 35 are supporting Trump, 65 are saying not, so they might justify. But no, I think it is a slap in the face because they changed the rules. But governments change the rules all the time, and political parties do it all the time. They're very, very complex, and right now they're very willing to. They've done it in the past, but there's more exposure this time, which is very good. If they mess around and change the rules, and the Trump supporters know this. Of course, the Republicans did more harm to themselves than good. So they're really in a bind. But no, I think they're going to work very, very hard to have a contested convention. But they're not going to come out of this, with very many benefits for the Republican Party.
If Trump is the nominee, will you support him?
No, I couldn't do that because
so what
he's an
does that mean?
Libertarian.
So what does that mean? Does that mean you're giving the election to Hillary Clinton then?
Well, on foreign policy, I don't think there'd be that much difference. She's very, very aggressive. The neocons would be happy with her because she's the one that orchestrates a lot of the militancy from the Democratic Party. She was much more neoconish than Obama. Obama had at least some decency to back off on some of this. But no, I think the diehard neoconservatives would not be that extremely unhappy with Hillary. Of course, from my viewpoint, they're very similar. I don't see this great difference between any of the Democrats or any of the Republicans because they all endorse foreign interventionism. They endorse the financial monetary system we have. They don't challenge deficits. So we who believe in personal liberty and libertarianism, we don't have a heck of a lot of choices in picking somebody between the Republicans and the Democrats.
What are you most worried about in terms of Donald Trump? I mean, when you see, Anonymous, this hacker group, come out and release his Social Security number, his phone number online, his son, Eric Trump, this morning or last night received a threatening letter with white powder in it. How do you see those things, these attacks?
Well, I think they're all bad because they can get much worse, and we saw a bit of a ruffle in the debate or the rally that Trump had. So, but I see Trump as a threat because actually it's a positive for him because he's very effective, he's smart, he knows how to read the people, and the people want a boss, and he could be the boss. And I'm not looking for a boss. I want somebody to say, I want to release the creative energy by allowing the people to have more liberties and the economy to get out of the binds of a ridiculous, Federal Reserve that tinkers with interest rates at 0% or maybe negative. And I want a foreign policy that defends this country and doesn't get involved in all these wars around the world, because it's such a drain on us, a drain on our personnel as well as a drain on our finances. But they're not offering that, and I think that's what I'm concerned about, is that Trump is going to be the most efficient in using the executive orders. He'll say this is the way it is. Obama was pretty arrogant. If you don't do it to Congress, I'll write an order.
Yeah.
Well, I think Trump will be 10 times worse on writing orders because he's used to doing this and he brags about it. He wants to be the boss. I'm not looking for a boss. We want somebody that will allow us to be our own boss is what I think we should be looking for.
Do you feel like people sort of want a boss right now, somebody who's actually going to get in there and look like they're fighting for the American people after these last 7 years where many people feel like their needs were not looked at and their needs were not responded to in any way? They've been getting rolled over from, Obamacare to, the GOP Republicans and the inability to get anything done?
Well, I think we should distinguish between being a boss and telling people how they should run their lives and how the economy should run versus having strong leadership. Because I think if there's a strong leader that says what we need is more liberty and less government, less spending and a balanced budget, yes, that takes a strong position. But it doesn't take a person who becomes the boss, who tells everybody what to do. But I think there's a big difference between being a boss to run things versus a strong individual that has strong convictions that can defend it from American traditions and the moral principles of personal liberty. That's what we need, and that's what the people are starved for. If the people hear that message, I think they would always gravitate to wanting to be their own boss. But they're desperate now, and they're scared, and there's so many people who have been victimized by this economy. The middle class is being wiped out by our monetary system and our government, and the rich are getting richer, so there are a lot of reasons for people to be very angry.
Well, by the way, I mean, look, obviously you have been very critical of the Federal Reserve, and the Fed obviously blew it this time around. They should have been raising interest rates a long time ago. But when you look at the amount of stimulus for this economy and where we are today, if the Fed wasn't in place to lower interest rates over the last 7 years or so, we wouldn't have had any stimulus in this economy because we didn't see anything on the fiscal side.
Yeah, but we've had no economic growth because it's totally failed because they didn't allow the correction. What you want is the liquidation of the malinvestment, liquidation of debt. But we haven't done that. We just build on it, so the whole philosophy is wrong. So they have accomplished nothing. So I don't want to tell the Fed what to do with the interest rate. I want the market to tell us what to do with interest rate because that's the most important information for business people and investors and consumers to know. What is the interest rate? That gives us the message that we need, but they don't want to allow that to happen.
All right, we will leave it there. Congressman Ron Paul, good to see you, sir. Thanks so much for joining us.
Thank you.